You better just go with the flow, otherwise you're gonna get stuck in the waves. Oh, did I really just come up with that? Wow. Am I an intellectual or something? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you're new here, my name is Nikki, and if you're not new here, welcome back. Hey guys, so in today's video, as you can see, it's a little bit of a new setting. I have moved, so if you'd like to know more about that or check out a little video that I made talking about me moving, here it is. Highly recommend that you watch it so that you are up to date with what I'm up to. Get a little room tour. In today's video, we are talking about navigating grief. I'm just going to be looking down here. So if you see me looking down here, it's my notes. Yep, I have notes. I'm prepared. Grief, I feel like, is a great topic to talk about, especially as someone who is navigating their 20s and trying to figure out just like what this life journey is about and figure out how to move on with life and live a happy life and enjoy what I have been given, which is this one life, and enjoy it as much as I can, because I don't know, that's what the books that I read be talking about, and that's exactly what I want. I have lived a lot of my life scared, a lot of my life depressed, a lot of my life anxious, and I'm finally at a place where I'm shedding those identities and stepping into a new one, which I align with a lot better. Someone who's confident, someone who is outgoing, someone who's happy, someone who's trying to live a very fulfilled life. So yeah, in today's video I'll be sharing a little bit more about my experiences with loss and grief, losing loved ones, losing friends, and I hope that you resonate with something, and if you don't, that's okay. I just hope that you stay. Don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and yeah, let's get straight into it. Being in your 20s is when your consciousness starts to unlock. Well, at least that's been my experience. After I just turned 24. I turned 24 a few months ago, and the closer I get to 25, the more I feel like my brain is unlocking, the more I feel like my consciousness is starting to really feel like I'm an adult, and like my feelings feel more mature. The way that I deal with things feels a lot more mature, and I've heard that that's what happens when you turn 25 and your frontal lobe, ow, why did I do that? And your frontal lobe develops. So I heard that's normal. If that is your experience, please comment down below so that I don't feel alone in this. Thank you. Okay, and with being an adult and with growing up and with being a human, loss and grief is a huge part of the human experience. I think that when you have experiences like loss and grief and sadness and all those negative emotions, or emotions that aren't always pleasant, more uncomfortable emotions, those are the key identifying parts of what makes us human. Those are the key identifying parts of what entails of the human experience, and that's what differentiates us from other animals and other species, I guess. Maybe they also have these things. Honestly, I feel like a lot of beings have feelings and stuff like that. I don't know, I feel like plants have feelings, but maybe that's just me. But definitely something that's pretty unique to the human experience is the fact that we have deep feelings and experience a very wide range of feelings, which is what I'm starting to find. So I'll just touch on the first time when I experienced loss in a family. My dad passed away in 2021, and that was crazy for me. That was the first time someone who I had known personally died, and that was the first time that someone who was in my family that I had a relationship with had died. So it was definitely something that took a while for me to even like be able to talk about. I don't think I haven't talked about it on my channel, that's for sure, but I barely talked about it to like my friends or to like anyone really for like the first year and a half. I just pretend like it didn't happen, or I would like make jokes about it and just kind of like make people feel very uncomfortable. So if you're around for that time, thank you, because I was like still figuring it out. And I feel like this is definitely a part of, like, everyone goes through grief differently. And because I hate to say it, but like because I am getting older, my parents are getting older, my like people around me are getting older, and like I'm really hoping that you've never had to experience a lot of loss in your life, but like you start experiencing loss the older you get, and getting behind a way of being able to deal with that is imperative. Okay. I'm using that word like it's like you do it now or your life is over type. It's really more just like it helps it. I These are things that I wish that I had known before. Like I wish that I knew what I knew now before. So I'm sharing that a little bit. After my dad passed, obviously it broke my heart. I felt like the world had stopped. I felt like I couldn't understand how everyone can just live their lives and move day by day when I was like stuck. I felt stuck. I felt like I was like numb to like feelings to I was also in a relationship at the time, and I felt like I couldn't even give anything left. Like I had nothing left within me to give towards my relationship. And yeah, and I think this is a common experience that people face. I also had to take on a lot of responsibility, financially, emotionally, just like a lot of responsibility, because we were a 4-person household. So it's just right now it's just me, my sister, and my mom. So it's like there was a big gap. So someone has to fill in those gaps. And because I'm the oldest daughter, that's kind of what happened. Shout out to all the oldest daughters out there. I feel for you. Especially if you're from an African household or like an ethnic household, y'all know the struggle for real. But yeah, after that, I also started dealing with daddy issues, and like there were a lot of ways that I projected the loss of my dad, and just like things that I had found out after, and all of that contributed to me having a lot of issues with like my relationships with men, and it leaked into like all different parts of my life. And it also all of this, it felt like a big, I just felt like I was really just hitting rock bottom like really fast. And when you hit rock bottom, it's like a rude awakening that, hey, like I need to stand up. Stand up.
I'll be weak in the knees. Stand up. Stand up.
Like when you hit rock bottom, you're just like, hey, like now it's not like you can go any lower, right? So that kind of like sparked a part of my healing journey, and a part of me knowing that like I had to change stuff about myself to get out of this hole that I felt like I was in. And yeah, so in 2022, I started my fitness journey very, very slowly. I started with doing yoga. That helped me feel grounded in a time when I felt like nothing was anywhere near the ground. I felt like I was floating on air, and I was literally just surviving. Like I was just barely surviving. And that's not a fun feeling. So when I did start feeling a little bit more like when I found an outlet that helped me feel grounded, I stuck to it. I was just like, this makes me feel like a normal human being again, so I'm sticking to it. So I would say find your thing. Find whatever the thing is. I know people like doing different things. Like some people like running, some people like singing, some people like when you're going through loss and grief, like you need to find your thing that helps you feel like you're not always going through this process, this grief profit process, because it takes forever. One of my good friends actually told me about this infographic or meme. I don't know what it was, but it was like showing visual, it was like a visual representation of how grief works. It's like it's a container and there's a ball and it's in a container, and it's like when you first experience grief, it's like, please excuse my face. In this video, I got this wrong. I went with the classic thinking that people think that grief slowly gets smaller with time. In reality, grief stays the same size, but slowly life begins to grow around it. So this is the image that my friend told me about, and I totally thought of it the wrong way. I thought that the grief gets smaller and smaller, but your container just gets bigger and bigger. You grow around grief, you grow around that part of your life, and you start to have more room for other things in your container. The group, it never goes away. So obviously I still get sad about my dad and I still get sad about stuff like that, but it doesn't control my life anymore. It doesn't make me feel like I'm claustrophobic. I feel like I have a life beyond that right now. So very grateful for that. Next part that I will be touching on is losing friends. So I've had a few experiences with losing friends. I feel like just like anyone can relate to this. You probably don't have the same friends that you've had since you were like a teenager, or since you were in college, or since you were in university, or since you were in elementary school, whatever. Like you probably don't have the same exact friends, because I know I don't. Like you outgrow people change, things change. You might have moved. I definitely moved. So a lot of my friendships did end naturally that way, which I feel like is not as painful. But when I was 20, I had a period where I lost a lot of friends. And this was actually a very sad way to lose friends, but it was like a rude awakening that made me realize that, like, sometimes the universe, God, will work in a funny way, and you have to like listen to that. Otherwise, it's like if you keep resisting it, it's just gonna hurt you more. So you might as well just go with it. That's really what I'm learning in my 20s. Like, you better just go with the flow, otherwise you're gonna get stuck in the waves. Oh, did I really just come up with that? Wow. Am I an intellectual or something? Anyways, the reason why I lost these friends was I shared my sexual assault story online with everyone on my Instagram. And in hindsight, maybe I don't know, I don't regret it, but I was just like, I thought there was just a lot going on during COVID. Like there was way too much going on. We're stuck in the house for months. And like I felt like everyone was going crazy and it just felt right. And I am grateful that I did it, because it showed me a lot of people who were in my life conveniently. Like they were in my life out of convenience, and that really showed me that like I don't need a lot of these people in my life, because I actually don't want the best for me. And like sometimes God will do that for you, or like the universe will put situations like that in your, or like in your world, because it's like the universe will put you in these situations to see if you're able to grow from them, and to see if you can learn from them. And I can say this because this happened 4 years ago. When it happened, in the moment I felt like my life was ending. I was like, I was anxiety riddled, I was so depressed, I felt so alone. I felt like I was scared to make friends, because I was like, well, I don't know if like I tell them this thing about me and then they don't want to be friends, like, but like, but it really just, if someone is not friends with you when you share something so vulnerable with them, then they aren't your friend. And it took me losing a lot of friends for me to figure that out. And all those people who I lost as friends, like I really wish them well, but like I be hearing about them and I'm just like, thank God. No shade, no shade, no shade, no tea. I'm just being for real right here. Okay. The aftermath of this really led to me having a rude awakening that I have to heal the inner wounds that I have within myself. I had a lot of shame in my body, and I had a lot of guilt and anxiety and all these like negative emotions that I was dealing with regularly. and I had to take responsibility for what I was feeling and do something about it, because I didn't like feeling like that. I didn't like waking up and being seconds away from a panic attack, like day after day after day. It was like it was insane, and I knew that this wasn't normal, because like there were days before when I didn't feel like that, and I feel like this is exactly what the human experience is like you have that contrast, so you know, hey, this is not my baseline and I need to do something about it. So ways that I did this were surrounding myself with people who actually cared about me. I think when you are put in a situation where you lose a lot of people, it makes you feel like there's something wrong with you, but I just realized that I'm worthy of so much more. Like I started like looking deep within myself. I started journaling more. I started spending time with myself. I really had a hard time spending time in my head and like being alone with myself for like so many years before this. And when you don't have people to like call and distract you from your thoughts, it's like you are forced to be with your thoughts. You're forced to really create a relationship with yourself. And that's what I did by force. Thank you, universe. So this also me making new friends. I think in 2020, 2022 is when I really started going outside of my shell and really trying to make friends that I felt like would resonate with me a lot. And I would do this like on purpose. Like I feel like sometimes people just think that, oh, the people who are meant for me will find me. That is true. That is true. But you have to like be the energy that you want to attract. Like I really wanted friends that are super artistic and like outgoing and love doing the same stuff that I do. So I started going to like these like local artsy kind of spaces and made relationships with people who were like singers and like creatives and all of that stuff. And then I found my tribe. I found people who had the same interests as me. I found people who were part of that, created a community that made me feel like I was loved. Right now, my community, I do get comments sometimes, and I really appreciate it when people notice this about me. I get comments sometimes regarding my community, and some people are like, yeah, I like all your friends seem really cool, or just from like my Instagram or like stuff I post, they say that I look like that I have a good group of friends, and that is a really huge flex that I have worked towards. I try to keep people around me who have the same views as me and really care about the same kind of stuff that I do. So I would recommend, if you have like lost a friend or if you've lost friends and you're trying to find yourself afterwards, put yourself in situations where you make friends that are like you and actually have the same interests as you and like to do the same things as you. Like if you like painting, I really like painting. Go take a painting class. I feel like there was a time when I didn't have a lot of black friends, and as someone who is like I'm all about diversity. Like I love a good um melting pot. Yes, we love that. I live in Canada, for God's sake. Okay, I'm saying this when Canada is literally like with their multicultural just let me just end it right there. But yeah, like I think it's important for black people to have black friends, because it helps you create a community that has the same experiences that you face and navigates the world exactly the same way that you do. I mean, everyone navigates the world differently, but has similar biases that are put against you, and that helps you see community not only just in like the bonding over the shared trauma, but also it helps you find ways to deal with it. A lot of my black friends and we just talk about, I think a lot of black people, when it comes to discrimination in this day and age, especially if you like are in the corporate world or work with people who are racist or have discriminatory biases and stuff like that, a lot of it is just kind of like just ignoring it and trying to deal with it as best as you can, because you can't fight every single fight. That's one thing that I've learned. And I learned that from my black friends, because, like, who else are you going to talk about it with? And yeah, so I would definitely recommend finding people who are in the same community as you and have like the same experiences as you, shared experiences. So just like people who, if you're a part of the LGBTQ community, I would recommend trying to find other friends that are also queer. I have a lot of queer friends, and I feel like that also helped me find a sense of myself, and like really understand my identity, and like just like have people who have the same interests as me and aren't going to make me feel uncomfortable for me being who I am. I'm talking a lot, so I need to. Another thing that I would recommend is letting go. I think sometimes in this healing era vibe that we have going on in society, a lot of people do want to heal, a lot of people want to get better, a lot of people have goals to become better or grow or have personal development goals. A lot of it comes off like you're doing it so you can show the haters how much better you've become, or you're doing it to shit on your ex, or you're doing it to show the girl who didn't invite you to a party that you're actually lit, turned, and rich. Like, I feel like all those things are fair and fine, but you'll never actually be happy unless you let go of what hurts you and let go of all the things that no longer serve you. Because when you're carrying those things around, they literally weigh you down. It's like you're holding these weights of, like, you're feeling all these things, and it like never, like, it never, you never feel free. You're never allowed to actually feel these emotions genuinely. It's all out of malice or ill intent. And actually moving forward and actually creating healthy relationships with yourself and others, you need to let those things go, which is something that I'm still learning. Because sometimes, like, I'm a Capricorn, I can really hold a grudge and I can hate you for a very long time. But I try very hard. I try very hard to let go of things that no longer serve me, just because it does feel lighter on my chest. And I always do feel better when I like look at someone and I'm like, okay, you used to bother me and now you don't. It's like, whatever. Okay, so I'm just going to start wrapping this video up. I think my main takeaway from going through loss and experiencing grief is what has helped me a lot is changing my mindset around it. I think now I look at it more as part of the human experience, and life is happening for me and not to me. Once you change your mindset that, like, life is not happening to you, life doesn't happen to anyone, it happens for you. So you're put in these horrible situations, like crazy situations, because, like, even like when you think of like a Mercury retrograde kind of instance, like, it hurts going through all those uncomfortable emotions, all these uncomfortable feelings come up so that you can grow. When you have baby teeth and it's just like they're growing out, like even when babies are teething, like, it's uncomfortable, but like you have your pearly whites at the end of it. It's like you go through these hard times so you can come out of them and you're so much better. Like, I'm not saying this is for every single case. Like, sometimes people just have like terrible, terrible, terrible things happen to them, and it's not, use discretion when I'm saying this. Like, this is very much like in the case, like, when how I've been dealing with loss and how it's been helping me get over stuff. So yeah, take this with a grain of salt. And also just apply it, not as a hard and fast rule, but very loosely and with discretion. So to conclude, I've changed my mindset around grief, and it's helped me heal the ugly parts of myself, the anxious parts of myself, the not so confident parts of myself, the parts of myself that I wish didn't exist that happened because of loss and grief. But it has definitely transformed my life, because when I changed my mind that life wasn't happening to me anymore, all of a sudden life became so much more worth living. And that's my goal in this life. I feel like that is a huge part of my purpose, is just enjoying life and helping other people figure out how they can enjoy their own lives. I think that's one of the reasons why I have YouTube. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it to the end of the video, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, comment down below how you deal with loss and grief and how you have been dealing with loss and grief, if you have had to. If you haven't, I'm so happy for you, honestly, and I really hope that you never have to deal with it. Yeah, I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you have an amazing Sunday if you're watching this when I release it. And thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next week. Bye.
Probably shouldn't tell it, but if I let you know, you can tell